السلام عليكم وحياكم الله. اليوم عندنا مقابلة شوي مختلفة، راح تكون مع أول ضيف أجنبي نستضيفه على القناة، واللي هو ستيف. ستيف مطور بمجال العملات الرقمية، صار له سنوات وهو يشتغل وطور العديد من التطبيقات الناجحة، وأيضا كان يشتغل بجوجل لمدة 8 سنوات، فعنده خبرة كبيرة بالنسبة حق الكريبتو، أيضا العالم الحقيقي أيضا مو بس بالكريبتو. فراح نتكلم معاه بالجزء الأول من المقابلة اللي هو هذا عن العديد من الأمور المهمة، منها تطورات السوق، نظرته تجاه البيتكوين والإثيريوم، وين ممكن نتجه له بالفترة القادمة، وين ممكن تكون ومتى ممكن تكون القمة. راح يكون في العديد من التوقعات بهذه المقابلة. والجزء الثاني راح نتكلم فيه عن المشروع اللي هو قاعد يشتغل عليه حاليا واللي راح يطلقه بعد شهر تقريبا. فراح نسأله ليش هو بنى هذا المشروع، ليش يشوف ان المشروع هذا ممكن ينجح. هذه بتكون اهم المواضيع. اتمنى ان المقابلة تعجبكم وتعطوني آراءكم اذا انتم كنتوا حابين نستمر بالمقابلات مع الاشخاص الاجانب، لان في ناس مميزة، ومنو حابين نحن نستضيف، وكل هذه الامور. Hello everyone and welcome again to the channel. Today we have an interesting conversation with Steph. Steph, how are you, man? How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I was not fully aware before joining the channel that you were doing this content, even though you were following me before. But that's great news. I'm glad to be here and share my perspective on the market and the project I'm doing today.
That's awesome. So recently we've seen a massive move in terms of Bitcoin and in the entire space. We've seen Bitcoin break from 68,000 till 93 even within a short time, and all of this like positive momentum, everyone's happy. So like just give me your overall take in terms of how are you feeling first of all with this recent bump, because I'm sure everyone is celebrating. And what does this recent move mean in terms of like the bigger picture for Bitcoin and the cycle that we're on?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question. And the way you frame it is interesting to me, because it said, how are you feeling in general when it comes to market? The best is not to feel too much, but keep it cool. So for me, the time where I was the most excited was during the bear market, when I was just getting my bags loaded with more assets, more. I don't have much Bitcoin these days, but Ethereum or other tokens. Now it's kind of the realization of all the hard work that was been done in the past. So the price is going up as, I had planned in my mind, and it's likely to go up much further. So it's exciting, but I try to keep my feeling as cool as possible.
Yeah, like even though it's hard, you need to do that. But at the same time, when you've been going sideways for 8 months and like people saying that, oh, it's kind of over, we're going to 30K or something like that, I think you need to like pat yourself in the back and be like, yeah, I deserve. It's fine for me to feel this way, a little bit euphoric, a little bit happy, especially when it's a massive move like this. And then after a few days, like right now, maybe the second week of this kind of move, you would be like, okay, let me get back to my managed, controlled mentality. So that's how I think about it.
No, that's right. You need to enjoy the win still. And I'm not over celebrating, but I have a few things.
It's just the beginning, but it's for me, like doesn't like you don't need to celebrate the move itself, but in terms of like getting into this new phase that we're at. So maybe that's where we can talk about next, which is like, what's your take about this new phase that we're entering after this breakout and the recent move that we've seen?
Yes, is that okay if I'm showing my screen? Right?
I think it's not shown right now.
I will just quickly share. I think I'm ready. So, all right. So this is my main trading panel when it comes to the crypto market, because the entire market is indexed on the performance of the largest asset, Bitcoin, because of the liquidity. Most of the different assets, Ethereum, Solana, all your tokens are liquidity bounded with Bitcoin. On many exchanges, you have pairs of Bitcoin and Ether. So when you can see in your best coin listing, if Bitcoin goes down, most of tokens tend to go down with it. That level of correlation is expected. So I'm focusing on Bitcoin because for me, it's a good way to understand what is likely to happen in other assets. in some cases, other crypto assets may move differently based on their history, their founders, announcements, or issues that may be happening with the project. But at least that gives a good frame, a reference to understand what's going to happen with the market. So here, what you can see is really what I'm doing on the kind of a part-time gig, is making prediction about the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the largest asset in crypto. I think it was at the beginning of August. Yeah, the 11th of 12th August. You can see that on my X account. I made a swing prediction that the price will be much higher by the end of the year. And this is where we are today, right? So the yellow line and the orange line were my 250-50 prediction of the price of Bitcoin. So I knew around here that we would, with very high likelihood, that we would retrace down to 52. That's the zone I wrote there. I had actually a limit order, not on Bitcoin, but on the equivalent for Ethereum. So I bought more Ethereum at these levels on the Ethereum side. And then there was just a very weaker chance for us to be there if some macroeconomic event were just to plummet the crypto market. It could be a president's assassination, could be escalation in conflict and war, because markets don't like uncertainty. So if there is turbulence or issues, generally that creates tension in market, because investors, they start deciding, okay, what's gonna be doing with my assets or my cash tomorrow, and they tend to be a bit more conservative. That's been the case throughout history. When there's conflict or events, things becomes a bit more tense. If people overreact, and we've seen that with COVID, I will just go back in time. When that was 2020, that's the best example. When everybody's starting to talk about COVID, the crypto market, you see the Bitcoin went from 9,000 to nearly 70% retracement, 60% retracement. Whoever keep their cool here and saw that, well, this is not the end of the world. This is more kind of a flu-like just disease that will just sort out over time. This is where you were making the most money on Bitcoin, because people panicked and you just do the reverse. So I still had this the same. If you look at timing, 4 years later, there was some sideways and then panic, and then you continue. I was expecting that if there was some macroeconomic event here, the similar scenario could happen. I'm gonna just retrace it. It's like, okay, there's some tension in the world. Everybody knows that. And so we could have like a moment of panic. And this is the moment, this 40K region was the moment where you would have been able to, I would maybe have borrowed some money to get more crypto at this point. It's a bit more extreme. We didn't go through that cycle. And then we rebounds during that phase, that outline since August, between the October and December, going toward all-time high. So that's for Bitcoin.
Yeah, when those things happen, you see like an exaggerated overreaction. Whenever people react, like when a bad or good news, also like it happens both ways. When you see like a huge move up, you always see some sort of like pullback. And the same way that when you see like a huge move downwards, you'll see a quick maybe recovery, because people exaggerate in those moves in terms of like what their outlook is and all that.
Sorry for the alert.
It's okay.
Yes. So the important things with market in general is like, if you're going in an assets, we're all in crypto because there's some sort of belief that the price will keep going up, because all governments throughout the world, they tend to inflate the money supply because it's a nice way to tax their citizens without telling them, right? It's hidden fashion. So we've seen throughout Europe, Asia, the Middle East, South America, all central banks tends to use the same principle, even throughout history, right? Not even modern history. Like you look back, the leaders, they will try to say, hey guys, we've got more tokens, right? We got more dollars, we got more euros. This is a way for them just not to have to directly tax people, because they know that's a very unpopular method of raising money. And so they raise money through inflating the money supply. As a consequence, hard asset like crypto tends to go up. So if you're here today, I think listening is like, you know that the likelihood for hard asset like Bitcoin and crypto are likely just to outpace fiat money and stable money because of the predictable behavior of governments. So we're in the right place. Things are playing out as expected, and this is not over. The people here during that period from March, I actually call the local top here. I can show you. I think it's about here. Showing my tab. This is my X account, 0xStef, and you can see back in March, calling the top and the bottom of that segment between March and May. So if you follow me on X Twitter, you're gonna get a lot of interesting alpha as well about how the market is moving. So let's go back. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say that I think one of the impressive things that I've seen you do, and the reason that I enjoy following you on X and all the things that you do, is like you've had really good calls. And I just wanted to mention that like the chart you showed earlier was drawn in August, I think, of 2023 or so. Like, is that when it starts, right? Right here?
That very one or the previous one? Oh, this one?
No, this one.
This one, it was drawn, the yellow line and the orange line were drawn at the beginning of like the segment. So obviously I'm not, so it was 11th or 12th of August.
Even though it didn't like follow it exactly, but in terms of the pullbacks, that's what like shows the accuracy of the prediction. It got it pretty close in terms of each time we saw those pullbacks, it matched the ones that you had drawn.
This is the post, actually. This is 12th of August. You can see for 55,000 views. I said, we'll hit 52K, right? More certain. And then open, will we hit 42K? Two most likely scenarios. Buy order set. So this is me in 12th of August. You don't know what's going to happen. Trump is not elected. You don't have all the enthusiasm. The price already deep down went down a lot here, and me, I'm not unfazed by the price going down. I'm like, no guys, we're going lower, and that's what I do. I try just to be consistent, and I'm not wrong often. I think this year I've been very, very successful, and when I'm wrong, I'm honest, and I said I'm wrong, and I will do better, guys. So this is my style.
And I think also like to mention like one of the most impressive calls that you've made so far, and for me like the one that I was like, wow, that's really nice, is the one that you called the Bitcoin top in 2021. Right. So this tweet here was I think like just a few days after the top, right? On 12th of November 2021, and you said that Bitcoin BTC topped 2 days ago. Like you even mentioned 2 days ago. So take me back to those days, and like how were you able to, like, not in terms of like what showed you these things, but like in terms of that those times you had very much bullish momentum. You had like everything doing really well and people like very euphoric. So like how was that for you? Like how did you manage to like spot that on the day?
I think I'm lucky in a few dimensions. I'm good with numbers. I'm an engineer by training, and I love probabilities. So that helps you identify what is most likely or unlikely. In terms of understanding the market itself, what was interesting to me at that moment, if I pull back the chart, I think, or even I think that's the one. Yeah. Here at that time, I can even look back with the trading view, and we'll show you a bit more of what's coming next. This is where we were, November 21, right? So a few people starting calling the top around here, right? But I was not, for a few reasons, I was not convinced about that aspect here, because I knew the level of euphoria you can get during the crypto market. And here the rise was really, really sharp without significant pullback. I mean, from the end of 2020 to April, 4 months, apart from that little retracement, it just goes up without really shaking anyone. Around that moment, I don't know if you were around in 2021, but that was the peak craze of NFTs. I mean, there was no single influencer not talking about NFTs, sharing their collection. That was peak craze of NFTs, right? But the way markets and price work, it's in wave. It's a wave of humans coming in, being interested about something. And I knew that if the price were retracing enough at some point, it may bounce again just to get down to that level, which happened in 2021. And here, based on a couple of indicators that you're retracing, I knew that the second move that we were having here was much lower. The price was going up, but level of enthusiasm and activity was much lower. So price up.
And you can even see on the chart, you can see that it's even less steep. Like it takes more time. It feels heavier, you know, if you just looking at
here the curve is like that, and then here the angle is just much lower. So if you follow a bit technical analysis, you can take some of the top indicators. They were just flagging really, really nice oversold signals here. So obviously I've got a bunch of these. And I was just looking this local top here compared to this one, even like weaker. This is stronger, this is weaker. So I had a divergence flagging very heavily here. I think the one of the strongest signals I've seen on the crypto market in years. So I was not shy at all. And I said, this is the top. We know what happened with FTX and everything that came after, right? I think that's around. No, actually, the FTX stuff is 1 year later.
It's in November of 2022.
November here.
It was
but
close
from
to
here,
the bottom. See, FTX is what pushed us down to the 16K.
That's the one. But from that moment where I look at the technicals. Plus, I overlay the overall feeling and sentiment, right? Who are the influencer? Who talks about Bitcoin? Who around me is calling me? Because I've been crypto for 10 years. I got a lot of friends that know that my life is 100% crypto. So this moment, this is peak time. I think I had more people calling me about crypto in August than people talking about me here. So I knew that most likely if we were going up, the top would be soon. So I was really looking for that signal. The signal got confirmed technically. And then from that point to the FTX, well, that's kind of like, a full year of the price going down. And then this is the difficult part, right? Even if since 2020 we went up, the feeling during that moment here, for some people, they're still low compared to the investments. They invested here, right? They invested here.
Yeah.
So during all that time for them, their account is in the red. Or maybe they sold here. And maybe they're hesitating just to come back. So that's what you don't want to do for this cycle. You see, you get a hint of where we're going here. You don't want, if you don't have your position, get a position, even a small one, right? I hate people when people chase the green candles, but the move is happening. So get a small, at least, get a bit of position, and you would look into some level of profit in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's move from Bitcoin and talk a little bit more about the space in general. So we've seen a few trends happen this year in terms of adoption. Mainly it's institutions who've been coming into the space and buying up all the Bitcoin. And we've also heard rumors of like nation states also wanting to join, like new ones and stuff like that. So I wanted your overall take in terms of like institutions coming to the space. Like, okay, it's good. It might pump the price for a little bit. Do you think that, because like I received this question a few times, because people think that because institutions are buying Bitcoin, then other coins will not pump. So if you can clarify why that is not related. But the first question is just like, how do you see like this wave of adoption? Do you think it's like long-term good thing? Do you think it's what we want to see? Or is, in your opinion, this is not like a good sign?
I mean, if we just look at the adoption of institution, it's been very weak. People keep saying, okay, now we have institution because we have one of the largest capital and fund manager in the world, BlackRock, that is almost all in Bitcoin. And when the people say that, actually, it's not BlackRock themselves purchasing Bitcoin. They're just presenting in the form of ETF, a package wrapper around Bitcoin on their trading platform for their clients. And their clients are other large companies, right? It could be pension fund or larger like companies or larger clients. They use their terminal just to be able to change the allocation of their investments. So if they had investment in the stock market, in treasury, in the precious metals, then the allocation might change, right? So for these larger clients, and typically we're looking at just a few percentage points, right? Maybe they had zero allocation exposure to crypto or to Bitcoin, and now they're moving the dials from 1 to 2 to 3%, right? So if people are maybe taking a bit more risk on that front, maybe 5%. And the reason why it's so small, because you need to imagine someone having a large amount of capital, like hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of value. Sometimes in the case of pension funds, it's kind of the retirement money of all the people subscribing to your pension. So you cannot gamble with the money of the retirements of tens of millions of people. So for them, the allocations, they need to have an asset that is outperforming, but because of the volatility, they cannot go all in there. That would take their fund at risk of not being able to pay the pension for the pensioners. So we see the institution coming in, but I think it's fairly smaller adoption that people think. People think big money is coming and just buying a lot. They're buying a small amount based on the large amount of the capital they have, but it represents still a small portion of the capital. There are extreme cases like Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy, where for him he went all in, right? But there's a very unusual way of doing it. There's nearly zero company in the world that have been following this strategy. Even if you're a mid-tier company and you talk with your CFO and you have a bit of cash on the balance sheet of your company, very, very few companies go all in on very risky bet like that. Why? Because you take the risk of plummeting your entire company, right? Including all the people that trusted you, that work for you, your customers. So that's why it's still very rare that people just are investing that massively at the institutional level into Bitcoin. When it comes
so does that,
go ahead.
Yeah. So does that mean it means that there is gonna be more adoption in terms of companies? Is that what you're trying to say, or you're just describing the way that we see it in terms of people in the crypto? We feel like they're all in. No,
they're not all in. Definitely, the numbers don't look like that. And I just explained why you would, if you're an institution company, why you would want to be more cautious and conservative, because the money you manage is money for either the treasury of your company or you're managing a pension funds, the money of others. So you already be more conservative because you need to pay back these people at some point. They're expecting profit or a return. But still, they're moving the needle because they may allocate, a few percentage points of their treasury, but they have larger amount of money. At the same time, now they're fighting against more holders of Bitcoin in the world, right? Bitcoin is heavier. There's more people holding Bitcoin. There's more people in profit, more people willing to sell at any point in time. If you bought in 2012, 2016, 2020, there's the collection of people that are in profit with their crypto investment is much larger. So it's going to be a very interesting this cycle, because I think it's going to be probably one of the most critical cycle for the future of the space. Why I'm saying that is the moment when people say all in, is the moment where no one in the world saying that Bitcoin is not going to work, because it's been vetted by the president of the United States. It's been vetted by the largest investment fund in the US, by the banks. Everybody's not all in, but everybody's on board. So that the question is and it's a question I'm asking myself, when we move through this bull cycle, at which point it makes sense to come back to fiat money? Because if it's a common knowledge and consensus globally that crypto and Bitcoin are the new digital gold, fiat across the world will just suffer, and more humans will decide, okay, well, whenever I'm receiving my paycheck anyway, it goes to crypto. So there is a world where the adoption of crypto is very, very significant. I'm more conservative person. I think we're gonna just see somewhat regular cycle, but I'm not excluding the case where the entire world just accept that now there's no selling back to cash. Now it's like you hold some crypto, and even you pay for services in crypto the same way. I don't know. It happened to me actually for a specific service. I said, could you accept crypto, right? And they said, yeah, I accept Ethereum, and I just settled the transaction Ethereum. Mm-hmm. At that moment, I don't need cash. Is not even in the equation. People give me the rate in Ethereum, as they might sell it or might not sell it. But if they think this is the value, why they would want even to sell it. They expect themselves that the price to go up. So
Yeah,
it's going to be very interesting to see how people now in the world, more and more, that's going to be a signal for me, exchange goods and services dominated in crypto. For that, you need the volatility of crypto. Once we go up, you expect volatility to be reduced a bit, so that you don't need to rename the price of bread or something. Every day you need to change the price of the bread because you mark it in Ether and the volatility of it, right? But this is the world where we might go, where more and more goods and services are marked in crypto itself.
Yeah, I think that's like a very important point to mention, especially that like we are seeing this, like the biggest thing that we're seeing right now is the shift in sentiment, like you mentioned, in terms of government institution, in terms of like who would have imagined a couple of years ago the president shilling Bitcoin, the administration, the people in the markets in terms of like large hedge funds people like Larry Fink, head of BlackRock and others. Like no one would have imagined this. 100%, it's like hard to imagine that this would have happened after a few years, even if you ask someone in 2023, not even like a long time ago.
And make no mistake, the president of the elect of the US this summer, he was at the Bitcoin conference and he said he's not shilling lightly, he's not discovering it.
Yeah.
And I know he was in campaign, so he's making a lot of promises. But he said we will build the largest stockpile of Bitcoin in the world. So basically, the largest economy in the world has now a president that just said with a lot of certainty on the mic, we're gonna buy a lot.
Yeah.
So you need to ask yourself, if you're still doubting on the sideline. First of all, they're not charity people. Businessmen and politicians are not charity. If he said that, he bought his family. Everybody in his family, they all bought, right? They all bought some crypto before he went live saying that. Same thing for Larry Fink. He may sell this Bitcoin ETF to all these investors, but personally, his friend, his family, do you think that before he goes on the financial news channel, he bought some Bitcoin, he bought some Ether? When he was the law, he was building his own stack.
I think there was a lot of speculation in 2023 before the Bitcoin ETF was approved. A lot of people were saying that like hedge funds and people who wanted to list the ETF, they were trying to accumulate and keeping the price low for as long as possible before even the ETF got approved. So I disagree that like 100% they've been accumulating at least since last year. Like
you're the CEO of one of the largest capital fund in the world, Larry Fink. You will go on a series of like weekly interviews on financial news channels saying Bitcoin is the future, Bitcoin is the age, Bitcoin is the new digital. You keep having that. Personally, and for your firm, it is 100% guaranteed that a few months ahead of that marketing, roadshow that you're doing on news channels, you've been accumulating personally. You told all your friends and family, your kids, I'm sure your kids and grandkids, Larry Fink, guys, I'm gonna talk about Bitcoin. Just get a bag. So
yeah. And I think like the reason that you should stay long crypto is because of what you mentioned, the small possibility that this escalates and then we get this massive rush and FOMO into the space in terms of countries trying to front run each other, in terms of everyone thinking like what you mentioned, in terms of like, is it even worth to sell this for fiat? This scenario has a small chance of happening, but if it does, you wouldn't want to miss out. And I think even if it has like a 10% chance, like 10% is not much, but at the same time, that's a lot of getting an opportunity at this like massive, like historical in terms of humanity, not just like anything kind of move. So I think it's important to understand that it's not highly likely anytime soon in terms of like next year or something, but there is a substantial, relatively, it's a risk I'm, comfortable taking.
Yes, because you don't want to be too smart and too arrogant arriving at what you think. We talk about prices going up, to a very interesting level, but you don't want to be the one saying, hey, that's it, I'm at so much profit, I called the top, I sold everything for cash. And for whatever reason now, there is 50 countries, they're forming an alliances to buy more Bitcoin after you made that call, and you thought you bought something. Now it becomes more consensus throughout the world. Obviously, it's lower probability, as you mentioned. But what if now, when I live in 3 different places in the world, and I see it more and more. You want to buy an apartment or a car. People are not just saying, "Yeah, I'm taking Ethereum, or I'm taking Bitcoin, or I'm taking USDC." You don't need to go back to cash in many cases. It's like you can start living. So if we see more signals like that of things that you can purchase and buy in crypto, sell or buy, plus more governments accumulating, do not sell everything. Right? If you want to take profit, take profit, but take in mind that things could go even more parabolic than you ever imagined, because we haven't seen a rush like that at the global level with internet, with social media, ever in human history. There was a gold rush in the US 200-300 years ago, right? Everybody was going west and doing that gold rush, mining gold, physical gold. But there was just a few people, like a few hundreds of thousands of people participating in that market. Now we are more than 8 billion of humans. We are hyper connected, and if there is a viral asset, and we're all piling on rare assets, and we're all piling on two at the same time, the price can go very, very high.
Yeah, and there's always this like snowball effect where these kind of things that can really escalate very quickly, exponentially, once people start doing it. So the problem is that like if this scenario would happen, it would happen very quickly because people would be racing to do it. And nowadays you've got like the internet, you've got everything that makes like accessing information, changing in terms of like the way people do things very fast and quick. So if that scenario would happen, which again is a very low probability in the short term, I think it could be higher chance of like getting to this point in the long term, or taking a slower approach. But inevitably, I think the chance of crypto being widely adopted is higher than it not being widely adopted. So at some point, we're gonna get close to that high level of adoption rate. So that should be fun. But anyways, let's just like start getting into some other topics. Since we've been talking a lot about these things, we can move and talk a little bit about altcoins. I wanna let's discuss first like Ethereum, since you're like a big Ethereum person in terms of like what you cover in your tweets. Yes. Besides Bitcoin, you cover a lot of Ethereum, and recently you've posted that you think that the Bitcoin dominance has topped, and people in my community really care about that because they're mostly in altcoins that they're waiting to pump. So what are your thoughts on in terms of like Ethereum's recent action? How do you see its future in terms of like this cycle?
Yeah, so you just mentioned Bitcoin dominance and its impact on all other crypto assets. Of course, as the price of Bitcoin goes up, it just starts triggering already memories of people that have been in space for past cycles, right? In 2017, in 2021, this is inevitable. People will want to outperform even something, because of greed, outperform something that already goes up quite fast. Bitcoin went up quite fast this year, right? Between the beginning of the year till now, it's up a lot in relation to any other assets that you could get on the stock market. This is outperforming. Now, if the audience here is very excited about altcoins, things are below in terms of market cap versus Bitcoin, you will get the chance to get a multiplier on that growth, especially today, because people already in the space, they are just making the assumption. They've seen that in the past. People will try to go down the market cap list and try to get even a better, faster return on investment. So the question now is like, which asset will capture a bit of the rotation of the liquidity that went into Bitcoin into the altcoins? It could be direct liquidity, depending on the exchanges, or it could be just a rotation of people that already made gain in Bitcoin and they want to diversify because they say, oh, I want to stack up more Bitcoin, so I'm going to just sell my Bitcoins for another asset. It could be Ethereum, it could be something much lower. And that will in turn boost the price of altcoins. You've seen that I'm doing a lot of like technical analysis and trading. For me, Bitcoin dominance just stopped. It was a few weeks ago. Let's look at it now. Yeah, it's confirmed. It was 60% Bitcoin dominance. I said 60% is the top, and now we're going down. So it's still quite high, 59. But we can have the same discussion a month from now. it will be lower. And very, very strong. I'm not winging it. I've got very strong confidence that's the case, especially because that signals is coupled with a lot of signals from different altcoins. It could be Solana, it could be Ethereum, that themselves, they're just showing sign of bottom on the other side. So everything is converging very nicely, and it maps the history that we've seen in crypto cycles, where you see rotation from large cap assets to lower cap assets.
Yeah. So I would pretty much agree with most of it you said in terms of Bitcoin dominance. For me, I think that like we've either topped or we can like have this tiny little retest, higher high to the 60%. But I think that now until December, that will be confirmed. If the top was in, and it doesn't go higher till December, I think it would be confirmed. And generally speaking, even analyzing previous cycles, this red box here is where we usually see Bitcoin dominance like dropping. So that's like maybe from December, mid-December, that's where we would see this happen. So we're very close to that. I think personally, I wouldn't like discount a tiny little move again to 60, 61 max, to shake out people for one last time, and then we're ready to go. But I think we're pretty close to.
Yeah, there's also another thing to keep in mind, and again, it has to do with like understanding ratio, mass, probabilities. If you had invested in the $100 million market cap asset 4 years ago or even 8 years ago, the relationship, the pressure of Bitcoin versus assets would have been different. Now, Bitcoin is so high that even a drop in dominance of 1-2%, because of the overall market cap in the trillions of Bitcoin, it's a lot of liquidity rotated into a smaller. If you're the recipient of that liquidity, at Bitcoin, when the market cap was maybe 500 million or billion, had less impact when rotating to a smaller. If we take the example of a coin that's 100 million market cap, now if the same token has 100 million market cap, but the size of Bitcoin is much larger, any move and rotation of that liquidity will flood your token much and way stronger than it used to do just a few years ago. That to say that even if I feel that we top at 60% of the Bitcoin dominance, now even going to 55% dominance will have a huge impact. It means a fairly substantial amount of rotation on the altcoin market. Maybe not on Ethereum or Solana, the larger one, but on smaller ones, huge impact.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying, and I think like we could also like talk a little bit, if you can tell us what your thoughts are on Solana versus Ethereum, because this is like a recent debate that we're seeing, and especially because of the performance right now. Like even I was trying to find the Solana ETH chart where we're seeing Solana outperform Ethereum into new all-time highs in terms of like the ETH Sol ETH chart. So we've seen that recent move, especially lately. Yeah, we can take a look at your chart.
So that's the Solana Ethereum chart and Binance data. So obviously this is the FTX drama here happening here. Amazing recovery. I mean, the Solana community, there's nothing to say. They've been building at the infrastructure layer, at the app layer, amazing marketing campaigns. They've been onboarding a lot of influencer, musician, talents. So kudos to them. I mean, you don't get to outperform Ethereum just being lucky, right? It's not a little outperforming. This is from the lows that they had here. They just recover. They already passed.
Yeah, they passed the all-time
historical
high.
ratio. I was just looking at the pennant, which is a statistical pennant when you do trading. I was expecting things to top out here, things that were a bit weak to top out, and we would see. It was around when I was in Singapore for token 2049, and so there was a lot of buzz about everybody saying, "Oh, I'm leaving Ethereum." There's a lot. So Ethereum is doomed. Solana is the future, and very extreme positioning. So I was like, okay, I've seen that before, and I was expecting for retracement. That did not, just because of technical analysis and also the sentiment. I've been wrong on that one. My personal, I don't do too much with the Solana ecosystem. Obviously, I'm positioned, but I thought we would just retrace a bit before getting more stuff on. But I've been wrong. We broke out the pennant, we retraced into it, and we exploded. I'll have to spend more time to understand the consequences. But so far, the only thing I can share with you guys is like Solana has been even outperforming my most rational analysis of it. It's been doing much better. Easy to fake out, and then that happens in the markets often. You just say, hey, that's it. We're going to the moon, and you get the reverse where it actually collapse back to what you thought it would be initially. So yeah, Solana is a good asset to have. Don't overexpose into it, because it may retrace against Ethereum in the short term, because Ethereum has just been underpriced. So yeah, and it's doing really well. So if you look at all the layer 1s, sidechain, layer 2s, in terms of activity, trading, volume, TVL, Ethereum is, I think, more than 75% of the market right now in the smart contract platform. So it's dangerous just to hype something that doesn't have the same level and quality, engagement, and penetration of Ethereum. The network effect of Ethereum is really, really deep. I see it on the daily basis. I'm building project. I'm discussing with builders on the Solana ecosystem, on the Cosmos ecosystem, on the Ethereum ecosystem, and what you have on the Ethereum side is already order of magnitude what Ethereum. So I love what Solana is doing, but don't take that as like I'm just dumping all my Ethereum bags and I'm just going all in, because the ratio may evolve and just be retraced back, or just evolve more conservatively that it has been up until now.
Yeah, I would agree with you in terms of like Solana performing really well this cycle, and I think that it's like doing many things right. But in terms of Sol to ETH, it's just very cheap at this moment for you to like discount it or not think about like positioning yourself in it. If it was anywhere close and these same things were like they are now, you'd be like, okay, Solana is obviously getting more adoption and all that. But just like considering how cheap the ratio is, it's just like, I think a mistake for a lot of people to like say that it's not gonna come back or that it's over. Yeah. It's far from over.
And it's very emotional, because if I had inverted the chart that we've just seen, so it would be instead of Solana over ETH, it would be ETH over Solana. ETH would look like this is the end of the world, right? It would look like doesn't map the reality. That doesn't map reality, right? Of what I see on the day-to-day, the field, the data, the data, the TVL, the volume, the engagement, the developers. Yeah. So that tells me that it's just this is over emotional trade right now that is running. And whoever has been stacking, maybe selling a bit of their position compared to Ether, right, in that trade, will be rewarded at some point.
Yeah. I think you need to do certain things at different times. Like good moves would have been made if you moved into to Solana like early. That would, you can like 5 or 10x your ETH back right now if you would buy it back, for example. So it's just like depends a lot on when you're getting into things. If something is good, doesn't mean you need to buy it now. If something is doing well, like it just like markets are like very much like moving, they're not the same. It's hard to like pinpoint or say any definitive conclusion about anything at any time. It's always going to be different, and you're going to have to like manage your stuff as you go.
But kudos to Solana, because I don't know how many network project, even people building, whoever starting building in the bear market of Solana, a genius intuition, because that was not obvious. You knew that the FTX had a huge allocation in Solana as they were invested. So even in terms of reputation, going in as a builder or even as an investor at that time, say, hey, this is the moment where I need to go in. And whoever has been tracking the ecosystem, Solana ecosystem, very closely during the bear market, obviously now they must be very happy, because that trade was maybe one of the most successful trade of the past 12 months was the Solana trade. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Okay.
There's actually there's one large investor, you may know it. It's called Raoul Paul. He's doing macro. He has a huge business channel and X account, a YouTube channel. He's talking about a lot about crypto and macroeconomy, and he's been promoting the Solana trade for a long time. I was a bit more skeptical, but he was right on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he's pretty smart, and he's also big into Sui, which recently performed pretty well. It went up a lot, so he's doing some right moves this cycle for sure.
Yeah. He also has some private allocation, so sometimes it's just also a matter of like, what are the business incentive? If you got a lot of coins,
I'm sure like if he's this size of like a player, then anything he touches, he would have an allocation, and that is significant.
Yeah, that helps. Promoting that's kind of the influencer conversation that we could go into another time. Maybe.
Yeah. For now, let's just end this conversation with a little prediction from you in terms of the overall market performance this cycle. How do you see it going? I know there's one chart you wanted to share in terms of that. And we can wrap this part of the conversation up with this final thoughts in terms of the upcoming year. So
sure.
Yeah.
Let me get that presented quickly.
Okay.
All right. So I think this is the first time I'm sharing that chart publicly, but you get a sense of that. This is my kind of macro crypto chart, even after looking at Bitcoin. And this is where we are now, right? This is what I've been calling the top, calling a couple of bottoms, asking everybody just to get in here, especially on the Ethereum side. We already moved out from that zone, right? So here, I mean, that exit was confirmation. That's confirmation of bull. For me, that was here because I'd be more aggressive and knowledgeable of the market. But here, there's no, you were at like maybe 70%. I was 70% sure that we would go there. And now there's no doubt.
Yeah, so like just to clarify, this is the crypto total market cap chart, which shows you the entire value of the market. So we are now at 3 trillion, and those are the things you're mentioning. Continue, sorry.
Yes. So these zone that you see here, obviously this first time I'm sharing publicly, but I've been drawing them since last year, so 18 months ago. This green line here, you see, I started drawing it when we are here. The price was non-existing. And my target for the cycle is just a simple, there's no magic here. This is just a simple projection of the current crypto price across multiple cycles, right? Going back to 2 cycles ago, right? So just looking at all of the tops, all of the bottoms, it seems to be forming a pennant. This is speculative, obviously. And if we were just to following that trend, we would end up around 10 trillion total crypto market cap. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the coins that you love, we will be ending up in that zone. And the reason why I just outlined that zone in red, let's read this even, should be a bit more dense, that this is where you don't go all in, right? This is not when you sell your house to get into Bitcoin. This is the reverse, where you start looking into, okay, we made a nice move. We entered here, or for the luckiest one, you entered here, and you say, okay, this is good. I'm gonna start looking into taking some profit, right? So it could be as early as 7 trillion, but I think the sweet spot is really between 8 and 11. And just to again echo the conversation and the comments we did just earlier, that doesn't mean that you sell everything, because the market, there's potential that the market goes even further. So if that was the case, you will regret, because you will see it move further than expected. Then you're gonna start FOMOing. You're gonna buy here, and then this is when you're gonna retrace. So better having even 5-10% running, right? If you were to take profit, leave some chip on the table just in case you're wrong, right? You'd never want to be too extreme with your position. You need to have a probabilistic approach so that you don't feel emotional if you're not in a game and then you chase and you start trading and you lose all of the stack, all the effort that you did by positioning yourself lower. You may lose it here because of the euphoria, because of the fear, because of the greed. So that's just a human-to-human advice. Be reasonable here. Don't sell everything.
Yeah, and that's like around August, right?
This is we're looking July, August, so summer 2025. You have potential early top if we were not going that high around March, April, and then you may have a bounce on the other side. Here's a classical head and shoulder patterns. I don't know, we're just gonna have double top like we did last time, or single top with a head and shoulder. So yeah, that's the rough estimation, and as you can see, it's 9 months from now. So that prediction here, we will look back next summer, and you can invite me back just to comment what happened during the 9 months and where we are. So that's it for my prediction. 9 trillion total market.
I think that's awesome. That's the scenario we'd love to play out. And just like you said, it's important to like DCA out, take your time into selling slowly, small chunks. You don't have to go all out or all in. It happens, and it works both ways. Right now, it's still a great time to take some positions, especially in altcoins for me. Like you see, most of the altcoins are very, very far from their all-time highs and stuff. And even like the recent March top that happened, the little top and move that we had in March, you see a lot of altcoins, they're far from those levels because the corrections were really, really big. So I think it's a great time to, be allocating and taking a position. You just need to be smart about how you do it. And I think that wraps up the first part of this interview. We discussed a lot today in terms of the market, a little bit about Bitcoin and altcoins and general topics. We didn't cover much, but as you notice, like time flies really, really fast. We've been here for like more than 50 minutes. So we're gonna end this part now, and we'll come back for part 2 of this interview. Okay. So Thank you, Steph, again, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, and I hope you guys just be careful. Don't go all in. Don't go all out.
Yeah, for sure. That's the most important thing. All right. See you guys later. Let's end this now.
Bye-bye.